track here is Demetori, Eye of the Needle. Sponsors is actually not one of my most favourite Demetori songs, but this is only because it's one of those tracks that has mid sections but a really good sort of chorus, and this is that really. I find quite a few songs like this every now and then. Just really varies from time to time. Yeah, I really like this track still. But as I said, it's not like the best one, but you know, it's good. Still like epic, it's symphonic, so that was kind of crazy. Not really going anywhere though, that's the only thing. But that chorus is just, yeah. I also do like some of the rhythm parts in this actually. Like the interesting part of the rhythm is like the fact at the start, it's like a really interesting sort of harmonic bit. I don't know what you call it. It's almost dream theater, I guess. Yeah, it's quite a good track. I still love it, obviously. Yeah, and that's the song. There's not much to say about it. It's just great. I love most stuff Demetori, and it also ends with a sort of breakdown. A solo into a breakdown. Interesting. Yeah, let's go on to the first topic. So, thinking about the topic and like, it's a frustrating one. Also a bit frustrating to start with as well. Yeah. First topic, it's just bad. I feel like I have to talk about this because I've been thinking about what I'd do if I come into lots of money. Not something I often think about because it's just stupid to think about. Never gonna have that. But even if I did, I wouldn't want to corrupt myself. You know, the way that South Park puts it, you know, if your knot gets bigger, you're just gonna make yourself sad. Because you're not really gonna fucking be able to support that. You know, the richer you are, the greedier you get, essentially. It's like an easy trap to fall into. But I suppose the thing I've been thinking about specifically is, there's a noise. So I keep hearing someone outside. Yeah, like the thing I keep thinking about, odd enough it relates to this, is what I'd prioritise if I do get a bunch of money. I think I'd obviously have to buy my own house. Like, it sounds dumb, but in reality, I don't see how I can survive in not just a renting system, but the fact that the house I live in currently and also the houses I have been in are just not up to standard. You know, they're literally discriminative against disabled people. And yes, it is. Because what you have to understand with disability, especially in my autism and OCD, is there is no safe way to live in these situations without resorting to just fucking freaking the hell out. You know, it's literally causing me to suffer just living in these places. And it feels almost unavoidable because of that. It really frustrates me because I just want to be out of this situation as soon as possible. So it's just ridiculous how bad it is. So that'll be my first priority, in all honesty, and yeah, it might cost even just a whole lot. But at the end of the day, I think it's absolutely necessary. Just don't see any other way out of it. It seems selfish, but if it's like a big enough house, like, you know, I'll be open to having housemates, but specifically picked by myself for people who are like me. So people, obviously like the current housemates I've got, are definitely a no-go in this circumstance. Because the problem with people like these, they have no perception of reality, in one case anyway. They don't have a perception of like their surroundings, which is a very fucking big problem. I've seen it consistently throughout my years of being in the housing situation that I have. Also, I just don't think their disability is really understood enough to the point where you can be like a case of like, oh, you know, I know yours and you know mine. You can support each other. But no, it doesn't work like that. Honestly, the amount of times I've had to explain these things and try to get people involved, the relevant people, and it not working, at that point, I just have to pick the people who are most likely going to be decent people, and obviously with disability as well. I think it's even more important, especially to have this quiet type of autism I have, the one that's self-aware as well, the OCD, when obviously spreading germs, and for some reason, well, this is another freaky fucking thing I found out. When I went to the bathroom the other day, because I don't currently have a sort of bath or shower in my own toilet room at the moment. And it's in the works, supposedly. Well, not in the works, but planning stage. Not planning, but before that, fucking hell, I don't know how to word it. But you know, obviously there's a toilet upstairs, and that's where they would go for the toilet, where I obviously don't have to go. And obviously the bathroom is in there as well. The bath, rather, bathtub, shower. It's just both, yeah. But there was used to be rather a antibacterial soap up there, and then for some fucking reason, some moron put it in the cupboard, and it had been there for over a week. So they weren't washing their hands after they'd been to the toilet? Are you fucking kidding me? I'm pretty sure that's dangerous, especially if you've just taken a dump. But what the fuck? But to me, that's just baffling. Like, how? There's just no reason for that. It makes no sense. You have to wash your hands with fucking antibacterial at least after fucking shit. It's just baffling to me, and the fact that they haven't been using that for this week, it seems, until I found it in the cupboard because I was confused where it went. Didn't think to look in there, thought I'd just run out or something. If it was getting low, but it wasn't that low. But, you know, what the fuck is going on? It's just, that's confusing to me, and that bothers me. It bothers my OCD. And then today, of all things, and yeah, I'm going to get to the topic eventually, someone rearranged everything in the fucking kitchen again. For no reason, without even asking. And just moved things around that didn't need to be moved around. Like because I have my own sponge from my own washing up, because I don't trust the others with theirs again, because of the bathroom situation. And also the washing up as well, bad with that. My sponge was put in the washing machine as well. But it's just all being washed for some reason, even though mine was pretty new and it didn't need washing. So it's just confusing what goes through these people's heads that happens. I don't know why they've decided to reorganise it, but okay. But that isn't the only thing. I had my washing sort of drying out, and there was a washing basket there. I always use one because fuck having it on the floor. No way. If it touches the floor, it's back in the washing basket. That's all I'm going to do with that, or back in the washing rather. Because that's the extent of my OCD. You know, they put a bunch of shit in the empty washing basket for no reason. Like, there's no reason for it to be in there, and it was underneath my fucking drying rack, by the way, so that people won't touch it. But no, somebody touched it. Like, how do people not see a fucking problem with this? It's also the fact that they put stuff in it that isn't supposed to be in there. Like, if you're moving it out of the way, sure, it's fine. But you didn't need to fucking do that. It's just a joke. It's just ridiculous. That isn't the only thing though, that's only some of it. The drying rack for the washing up, I have my own separate one as I said, and that was for some reason was put on top of the other. For some reason, and then everything put on top of that. Not to clean, but just to be there. I don't even know the motive for it. And then, because I do my own washing up as well, I have it separate. I don't do it with the others, and I don't do other washing up because it's not my job. We do our own washing up here, and that's the rule pretty much. Then, for some stupid fucking reason, this person decides to wash up everything else with mine. So I had to take all that out of the fucking washing up bowl when I found it there, because that's where it was. It wasn't even cleaned or anything, it's just left there. And then fucking run it through with like tap water, obviously hot water, to fucking do what I do, like disinfect it even more, because fucking I don't even know what's been on that. And also one of the things in there was for the what is it, the plug, I don't know what you call it, sinkhole plunger. You know, just get the crap out of it, the gunk, it's horrible stuff. But that was in there. And yeah, like it's there to drain it. You fucking why? It's just so triggering on my OCD. It's just absolutely off the charts. So yeah, like I washed it a few times over before washing it out properly, the way I do, and I had to get a new sponge as well. And this shit just bothers the fuck out of me. And then other things that I put there specifically to do later, like in minutes, by the way, not even like an hour, just like 20 odd minutes, have been moved as well. And I had these new button things to stop the fucking cupboards being slammed because I can hear them, and they do work luckily. But they moved from the counter to on top of something. I was like, what are you doing? Why? Just no reason for a lot of this. And people wonder why the fuck I'm so stressed. I don't know further. This is absolutely absurd. So, this leads on to the big issue again with money and spending, and why I would buy a house. And this is to do with my just the sources of stress and how strong they are. So I'm going to put this at my health folder, I don't know why I didn't save it. But I'm going to write like the top 4 things or 5 things, whatever it takes really, to make me stressed. And I'll write them down based on priority and rank them as well, explain a bit. But this is essentially the way I'm going to manage how to address these problems and prioritise things. And I think this is really important because I truly do not see a way out of this without any fucking resolution that actually meets my needs. And unfortunately people will still say rather that I'm spoiled. Even though I'm suffering to fucking hell and back, like, is that somehow spoiled to ask for a decent life, to not to suffer? Even crazier is people suggest therapy for this, and I'm just sitting there thinking, I tried it. I tried it for 2 fucking years, and then I tried it again for a 3rd year in a row, and they didn't even offer me the correct therapy, the one I had asked for. So no, therapy is a fucking joke. It's there to fucking make you go around in circles. It's not there to actually make you, help you. Like, it's not there to help you, that's the point. It's there to fucking guilt trip you or something. It's so stupid. So that's out of the question. Medication, been on that for over a year, didn't do anything. Tried even changing things up, and that didn't even do anything. Even moving here did nothing. So the solution, as far as I know, isn't that cut and dry. There is no one size fits all. And people need to stop assuming when I deny help that that's because I am just too lazy. It's actually because these things I've tried and haven't had it work. And there's no such thing as going through it for like months or years at a time until it works, because I tried that as well. Like, how fucking narrow-minded are people? I don't understand it. I tried a lot of this shit. And you know, in the end, like, the biggest solution to my problems is literally suicide. It's not me being depressed. It's literally a fucking fact. But this is the only true way to stop my suffering. Yeah, I'm asking for a quick and easy way out. And people just don't fucking listen. And instead it's like, oh, it's not legal here in the UK. Fuck off. Doesn't matter if it's legal. It matters whether it's fucking moral. Absolute pricks. But honestly, I would help someone with suicide if it could be fucking quick for them and painless. I'm not even joking about that. I know how it feels. So I just wouldn't even fucking care that much. I'll try to help them out of it. Should always be the priority, but if you can't, then what are you supposed to do? I'd ask someone, tell them about the situation, yeah. Get a second opinion to make sure. But if there's no way out of it, then what the fuck do you expect people to do? It's literally a massive injustice. So yeah, I think over the next week or so I'm probably going to work on this stress list and just figure out the things that need prioritising. Weirdly enough, I think the biggest problem at the moment is actually just this entire living situation. It's the mix of the terrible support system, the lack of anything being done about my problems, and housemates as well, and also just this house. For once, I want to have a night where I don't have to fucking wear headphones or have noise cancelling. Just for fucking once, but I can't because this is built like shit. The roof leaks so much fucking noise, I can hear a plane going over. I couldn't hear that in the last house. It was impossible to hear. But yet, when I go outside, when I'm walking, because I do that sometimes, and it doesn't help with stress, as you could tell. Did you went for a walk last night? Yesterday, yeah. Last night. But you can hear the planes out there. And they're far more quieter out there than they are in here. Like, there's something wrong there. Something really fucking wrong. It's not to do with the air traffic, I don't think. It's to do with the house. There never used to be planes going overhead. They started at some point. Definitely not when I moved in, though. Yeah, it's just more confusion on top of more confusion. So yeah, I don't know what to add here, but obviously the stress list is important, and I think this would be important to show people to give them a perspective of how bad it is, because I think this could really narrow down what can be done and what can't be done, at least for a while. It really puts the priorities on there, and I think being able to articulate this is probably one of the greatest gifts I have, to be honest. And that's one thing I've been complimented on a lot. So the way I am able to describe things is often pretty good. It's probably one of the few compliments that actually I can actually see working there. Well, actually works. I don't know how to describe it. You know, ironically, that's what people have said. I'm gonna have to use that to my advantage, I think. Try and get a better situation. Also need to figure out how to get the benefits to be increased, because the way it currently stands, I can't even afford to pay bills. Everything's going so fucking high in price that there is no way to sustain my current lifestyle. Which in itself, I need things to be there to fucking help me. I remember looking at my shopping list on here like a few weeks ago. And literally on the shopping list, not shopping list, but orders that I made. It was like literally 70 to 90% necessities and only 10% wants, or 30%, which is not big. You know, don't fucking kid yourselves, that is not a lot. to spend on yourself. So it's just absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, let's move on from this topic, because I need stuff to do to distract myself. Well, it's not every day you encounter a scam, especially one that it's not it's not common, but it's not new. Um, yeah, I was kind of surprised by this. I don't know who it was actually. Now I think about it, like trying to look through my friends list. I don't even recognise the friend. These names sometimes change every now and then, and I don't even know who that was. I don't even view friend history. Let's friend this. See, nothing there. All no. Previously played with. Nope. No, Valve sort of being useless there, to be honest. That's frustrating. Yeah, I recently got made aware of a scam because it didn't really happen to me. At first I was a bit like, okay, this is confusing. Like someone might be impersonating me, and luckily this was a scam, so I didn't have to worry. And it turns out it's the app I accidentally reported you scam. That's literally what it's called. It's already off to a fucking great start. So I find it so bizarre that I haven't heard of this yet, and it's been around for months now. And yeah, it says like 30 months ago here, apparently. Like minutes. How long? Can you just not summarise things, fucking idiots? Given it's not hours or days, it's probably, yeah. Um, it's like so weird. But anyway, let's go through this scam because, as I said, I'm unfamiliar with it. And there's someone showing the script here, or almost a script. Actually, let me find a better one. Steam accidentally reported you scam. Let's see. Script. See anything? Okay, maybe I'll go with the screenshots then. So, there's someone asking basically, have you been able to make a transaction on the Steam market recently? Well, in my case, it's like, hi, did you purchase this from me? And it was a transaction for a Rust item, a game I don't even fucking play or have ever played. And they're asking like, why did you do this? Like, did you do this today or something? And they're really asking that if you made the purchase itself, which was about $617. I don't even pay in dollars, so that doesn't work. So already the scam sort of failed there. Obviously I said like no. At this point I wasn't aware of what it was, so I just went along with it. A new site was up, I started looking to see if there's anyone impersonating me, and there wasn't. And I started to critically think about this too, because it seemed very suspicious. Just the fact that there's such a high-end purchase, and it's a low-quality image as well, I think. I didn't actually click on it, I don't click on images just in case. That's one of the ways you can actually get hacked, by the way. You just inject something into the image and it's just, yeah, you're fucked if you click on that, and it's got something in it. Anyway, so I went along with it, and eventually they got around to saying, and this is a weird thing, this is someone on my friends list. Or was, I should say. And I don't even know who it is, I've probably mentioned that anyway. Yeah. So, they mentioned that they got a bunch of their friends to report me for being a scammer, because apparently, well, even though they didn't explain this at first, apparently this transaction I quote-unquote did not send the money through. And I can sort of see where this is going from that alone. Because I was like, I can't afford that. $617 is about, like, over a third of what I earn. And it's just, no, I can't even pay for that. And I wouldn't even buy it. Like, fuck that. That is stupid. So I just obviously immediately began to get suspicious, but I still went along with it to waste their time. I started doing some research, and that's where I discovered it. So let's see. This user Pred has posted this on the Steam scam Reddit. Um, for some reason, this user is asking if they reported the exact account. It's weird. Um, in this version, they're saying that someone's making an illegal purchase because they accidentally reported your Steam account. But fuck, even this user, Brad, is saying that I don't even have CS2. Yeah, that's pretty textbook fucking scammer dumbassery there with the fact they don't even look at your games. Um, and yeah, they show that this report and say that I think they're gonna get banned. It's what mine said. I had like 24 hours to respond. Like fucking hell, it's so dumb already. Let's see what the rest of this message says. So yeah, Brad says I can dream of that money, and the scammer says I know it's not you, so you can help me remove that report I made before it's too late. It would be helpful if you could add them on Discord, Steam support, Steam underscore support underscore Nathan. Before it's too late. Please explain to them that I made the report. It's so cut off on the end that made something account was a mistake. There's usually a very active. What? They are usually very active there and can assist other users effectively. And then they say, or just send our conversation to make the support understand easily. I'll be here if needed, if you need my help with anything, and there's a Discord tutorial for some reason. The guy says, alright, wait. I have to go in here briefly and mention that I didn't get the same response. Instead, I was asked to email a Steam Gmail account. Like, what the fuck? I have to look at my old messages. Like, I don't know. See. Help Steam support? How do you even get to that? Oh, help Steam support. No, it's not there. Oh, there is. At the top even. Okay, that's not helpful. Why are you even fucking looking at it? This doesn't seem to be what's suggested here. 10 months ago, it was 10 mo. I didn't realise I on Reddit. Data related to your account? What's this? Like a bunch of hentai games. Oh, my account. Data related to your account. See, it says under here. Chats. Where's chat then? Chart. Come on. The fuck is this? Are you kidding me? Chat friend, chat messages. That seems to be it. Let's just sign above. Community chat discussions. No. Friend chat messages, and why do I need to sign it? That's a bit stupid. I don't know why that's a thing. So it's fucking authenticated. Why am I authenticating inside Steam? Like, yeah, that is stupid. What the fuck are you doing? It's not protecting anyone, it's just making them more frustrated and it's simplifying the passwords, which gets it hacked even quicker. You fucking morons. I don't have to log in on my phone for some reason. Fuck's sake. It should have logged me in anyway. I can't even fucking log in, that's stupid. I don't know why it's logged me out though. I'm already logged in on the mobile app, so there's already a problem there. That's a bit stupid, in my opinion. Right. Alright, that's really annoying. Hot tip, do not fucking reset your apps, Valve, it's stupid. Anyway, yeah, messages from my end. Hello, bro. Mind if I ask something real quick? I don't mind, ask away, because I'm used to questions or sort of. Not on Steam though, that's the weird thing. Sorry for messaging you out of nowhere, but have you bought anything on the marketplace recently? No, not all, haven't touched it in at least over a year, which is true. And said, someone with your exact name and profile purchased my Rust item, but I never received payment. I'm not sure if that was you, and then it links an image. I'm not going to that. I definitely haven't. I said I definitely haven't. No transaction histories, and I can't even afford that. And they responded, quite strange, isn't it? Just checking again without pointing fingers or anything was enough to terrify me and cause me to report your account the moment thinking you were the one who bought it. I guess I made a mistake, I'm sorry, bro. Okay, just give it a trip there, I guess. And then I said, it's no problem, probably an impersonator or someone with the exact same idea I had, to be a boss about nerd, because my Steam name is literally Melvin Eugene Punimine. And this scammer said, I'm just scared at the time, so I asked a few friends to file a report against your profile. We mistakenly reported your profile, then I'm really sorry, bro, I just don't want to lose $600. And they added, someone might have impersonated your profile then. I said it might be something to do with my profile being private, which it was, because nobody on the outside should see it. So, scammer responded, in response to my report, Steam support stated that your account must be appealed within 24 hours or risk being permanently banned. God, they're so fucking desperate, it's stupid. You realise how stupid this is. Like, Valve doesn't contact you warning you of a ban, they just ban you outright. Everyone who's been on Steam for long enough knows that. Even people who are new to it. Anyway, scammer adds another image for the support thing. Says, can you assist me to remove the report in any way? Please clarify this was an honest error and that you are not responsible for the report. I didn't mean for it to happen. Now I literally said, like, Valve can literally access my profile. I'm just confused what's happening here. Did you purchase from me or purchase from someone else? Because I don't know how the Steam market works anymore. That's how long I've not been on it, so I didn't know if this was my purchase or me selling. So I couldn't really tell. It was just impossible to figure out, and I was just immediately suspicious on the permanently banned thing. It's just stupid. And then the scammer says, I'm really sorry, bro. Can you help me out on this? So support won't remove the report. I didn't mean for this to happen. I say, don't Valve usually hold the purchase if it's expensive? I swear there used to be a policy. I don't trade or play many games through Steam now. It's possibly someone's found an exploit or possibly impersonating to push the blame. And it wasn't a Gmail account, so the scammer said, can you send an email to the support guy on the lower down? That's the person assigned to my report, and just explain to the support Connor Malone his email. Valve at Steam powered at Outlook. Oh, I'm putting you on a fucking site, you fucking cunt. How do we do that, actually? I want to sell this guy's email. Feel free to do it if you want. Then there's another stupid image. And they say, the scammer says, kindly send the support an email, and if you got a response to him, just tell the support it was a mistake from me, and tell him you did not buy anything. Then, at this point it was kind of obvious it was a scam, and so I replied, sure thing, where do I insert the part where I say you got mega trolled? Like, fucking, yeah, I have to. And then I added something else, but I'm not sure if I wrote it in time. This is like 2 minutes later. I said like, you ain't got enough, brother. You're a thief, and those consequences will creep up on you. The Mao. Yeah, so that's the thing. It's a fucking scam again. I could ask on like Steam scams if there is anything about that, like where I can report the emails. I'm not actually sure how I could do that, but it's interesting that they're resorting to that. They find that kind of interesting. So I'll definitely try and do that. Also, the fact they're using emails to begin with is curious. Like, because these other ones were using Discord, but this time they're using email. But they made it so fucking stupid. Like, anyone knows that when a company has a big domain like Valve does, the emails do not go to fucking Outlook. Like, Jesus Christ. That's already a big red flag. And even then, the Discord one is also nonsensical. Valve employees do not use third-party services for their fucking support. Jesus Christ. I would be surprised if techie people get scammed by this. It's like, it's so dumb. Scammers literally have no fucking brain cells. Yeah. It's just another shitty situation. It seemed like my friend got hacked, whoever that friend was, and is now essentially scamming others to losing their accounts. So obviously the friend got scammed and lost their account, which is a bit odd as well, because I would have thought that most Steam accounts are especially older as well. You know, you wouldn't expect that to happen to them. Like, and two-factor authenticator? What? Two-factor authentication is a thing. And so it shouldn't be happening. The fact this is even happening is bizarre. And it's obvious that from this scam alone, either one of two things happened. Either the account was hacked long before this happened, meaning it was probably sold somewhere on a black market, or this account was just freshly scammed and robbed, and so they used it to obviously contact me. So, yeah, it's very bizarre. But you know, one of the things I really do suggest is just getting these official sort of accounts that they use, not official, but you know, the ones that Valve would never fucking use. Again, like the Outlook email I just said there. And just putting them on a list somewhere. Because at this point they deserve it. You know, any sort of disruption you can do towards scammers, as per like Kit Boker and stuff, if you've ever watched his content, is good for everyone else. It means they have less likely chances of getting scammed. And I think even if you can like contact some of the friends that are related to them as well, it would be helpful. So you can like comment on the profiles of the one who's been hacked. Like, so it can actually be really useful. Yeah. And I suppose, like, I don't know, like, what's one other way you can do it? I was thinking of something to add to your profile, but I'm not sure. Anyway, that's that topic, so it's interesting, but frustrating as well. Rip the friend's account, whatever that was. Can't say I miss you because I don't remember you, unfortunately. It might be embarrassing if someone I actually know, so I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. So, Pokemon is coming up on its 30-year anniversary, and you know, even despite all the bullshit and you know drama that's happened over Pokemon, at least over the last decade, I still have a very big love for the franchise. I just hate it's being held against its will by the likes of the Pokemon Company and also Nintendo. Literally both ruining it together. And that has to be said first and foremost because there are a lot of positive things that have come out of Pokemon. Pokemon's pretty much the one thing that inspired me to get into anime drawing of all things. On top of other smaller anime, but this was like the first anime I'd ever seen. Other than Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, which came after. You know, I still have memories of being at my grandma's house and watching this on an old CLT, like watching the fucking anime on there. And, you know, it was a different time. I wasn't that into it at the time, but yeah, I really enjoyed it, even despite that, because there definitely were funny and interesting moments. As a kid, though, I had trouble concentrating, so it wasn't exactly my focus like a lot of things at the time. But it's still very interesting, and it's certainly an anime that I have mostly fond memories of, even when I binge watched it about 11 or 12 years ago. Watched it from start to current. I'm not sure if I did see every episode, though, that's the thing. I remember a lot of Gen 1. I remember a lot of Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4 as well. Around Gen 5 and I think even Gen 6, I started to see less of it. I'm not sure what that was about, whether it was like the place I was watching it or what. But Gen 7 I stayed up to date with, and that was my favourite of the fucking animes because it's not only emotional, but it's also really funny. There's still clips of this anime on YouTube, and unfortunately there aren't many, but they're still so good. Like the Beware stuff with Team Rocket is just genius. The amount of expressions that each character has. I still remember those quite fondly. You know, it's very special in its own way. And I haven't really seen an anime do what Gen 7 has done, or Sun and Moon have done Gen 7. And it's honestly really good. They have obviously done things that have been done before, you know, like finding a parent sort of thing, and you know, the journey and stuff, and even fighters like gods, but you know, the amount of realism they added into this as well, and also just on what lengths they went through to not only animate it, because the animation's actually at its best. It's better than Gen 8, I'll be honest about that. Gen 8 had some good animations, but I thought this was better. But yeah, like Sun and Moon was just goated, and also the theme tracks are pretty good as well. Um, so that was that really. And then Gen 8 I didn't think was as good. It was like only a handful of episodes I actually liked during that. And I'm waiting for Gen 9 to finish at the moment so I can obviously finish that, but it seems to be getting back on track with that. They've got the right idea with the cast of characters and obviously placing Ash, which was a good thing in my opinion. It's time to retire the old boy. It's just he's been there for so fucking long. Like to be here after 30 years would be just nuts. So it's good that they changed him after what 25 years is it? Actually not sure. Maybe a bit less than that. Maybe a bit more. Yeah, it's quite fascinating though. Um, so what else to say? I've seen all the movies, I believe. Could be wrong about that. But weirdly enough, I remember seeing a Gen 3 movie before it even came out. There's a weird inconsistency with that, and I don't know how. But I remembered the movie without even seeing it. It's so weird, because I never even demanded to see a Pokemon movie as a kid. Just so bizarre. Yeah, it kind of sucks. I somehow didn't remember anything about Pokemon from childhood, or much of it anyway. A trading card game I didn't really like. My card stole them once, and that was it, really. Didn't have anything expensive though. But I really like the artwork on them, and that's my main appeal for it, really enough. I was quite into the colourful stuff back then. Child, typical, typical child behaviour. So I have to clear out my ear. I don't know what the fuck is going on there. It got itchy. Ugh. Earwax. Um, it's yeah. Like Pokemon definitely is a niche thing, and it's not for everyone. But I think people can enjoy it regardless. Um, so uh, what other things are there? I didn't really get into the merchandise until around the college time when I was like properly getting into it, and my first ever Pokemon merch was actually a Pokemon an Eevee plushie. I got that pretty early on. I've had this for years actually. I'm pretty sure I got this back in 2015. It's a fucking amazing plushie. It's very cute and it's lasted as well. Um, also done some weird things with it, but that's another thing. Maybe not suitable for this, but you know, and uh, yeah, just a weirdo and a freak. That's not surprising, is it? I don't know. Yeah, that's the thing that loneliness will do to you. Um, what else? I've got more stuff. I've got posters, and I also started to collect the gallery stuff. I started to realise that it didn't really mean that much to me. I was making wallpapers based on it. That was like digital artwork, and I should have probably taken pictures, obviously gone over them a bit. Um, it's tough. I ended up selling them in the end because I just didn't find much value in them. I still have some of the posters. I might have given some away. I still have like a display poster of Pokemon from an interesting small artist. It's before the AI stuff, which is good. But it does seem to be possibly an upload, a re-upload rather, without permissions. Um, on the old display store, they don't seem to track it very well, to be honest. I'm actually very curious if someone has investigated that because there's no fucking way they can have the rights to that and also have a bunch of artists on there giving permission for this. I found artwork that is literally stolen, and I just don't think it's a very legitimate place. So yeah, I'm not going back to fucking display. There's no point. So yeah, I didn't really get much into much other than that. I swear I had a t-shirt, but I don't remember what it was. I have a jumper actually, a sweatshirt, what do you call it? A hoodie, not jumper. It's actually awful. It's a fucking terrible quality inside anyway, the material. It's a Rayquaza one, it's from the official Pokemon store. And I only really got this because I kept getting cold in the, well, at night, and it's winter. It's a really cool jumper, got a nice space theme to it, which I've never seen on a site like that before, hoodie. So it's really fucking cool. Uh, yeah, like the inside material is just sensory hell. Doesn't really work. But that's about it, really. There isn't much else that I really did with that. Um, so what else? I don't know if it was. Yeah, I played some of the games. Um, First game I ever played, I believe, was Gen 3 remake. Um, fuck, what was it called? Not Alpha Omega, what the fuck? Um, isn't that a furry in a movie? CGI movie? No, Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, that was it. Is Alpha Omega, technically speaking. But those were my first games, and they were alright. I got through the Dragon Team somehow, and also Legendary, because that's quite new. And that's my first ever game, and I didn't mind it. And I think thought it was good. And then I tried Pokemon Y, or no, it's X, because I like the new Pokemon. Xerneas. Um, So that's the second game I played, and it's good. Yeah, it's alright. So they liked it, and I replayed it again at a later point. I replayed Gen 3 as well at a later point, and Gen 7 for some reason. I played that twice. I got Ultra Sun, and I actually really liked it. I think it's the best Pokemon game still to this day. And then obviously when the Switch came out, oh yeah, I did a Pokemon art gallery. That was fun. I did upload a lot of my stuff to my DeviantArt before I obviously deleted it, and I uploaded that artwork there. I do still have it somewhere. It's not really anything special because, it's not really an art learning thing. It teaches you about colouring and shading and stuff, but it doesn't really teach you about drawing, which is, it kind of defeats the point, really. It's just a colouring thing. That's the only problem with it, in my opinion. And also, it didn't teach you layers or anything, so it's not even a fucking great beginner guide. It's pointless, just to put it short. So yeah, then the Switch games started to come out, and Switch was first out anyway. On Switch, I played Pokemon Quest. I fucking hated it because it was garbage. It literally is full garbage. Just nothing good about that. The grindiness, the bullshit mechanics, it's just terrible. I can't even believe they released that. Um, and the game after wasn't that great either. It's better, but not as good. It's cute. Pokemon Let's Go. Yeah, I kind of liked it. It was good in its own ways, and I like the shiny hunting being easier. So like you can see the Pokemon, the art style's decent. And also for a beginner game, it's almost perfect. But the only problem is it teaches you to rely on your companion Pokemon because it's like almost as strong as the evolutions. The evolutions of it in the case of Eevee. Um, yeah, like it has some issues here and there. And also, Meltan was like exclusive to it or something, and that was bullshit. So, yeah, some problems with it. But I think it's good for beginners. And also the motion controls are stupid. I don't know what they were thinking with that. But either way, it was a cute game. I loved interacting with Eevee. Just very cute, and you can dress them up as well. I'm pretty sure. Obviously, if you got Pikachu, that's your choice. Or Pikachu supporter. I do like Pikachu, but not that type of Pikachu lover. And then finally, I played Pokemon Sword and Shield, and that was the last game I played for a while because it was shit. The story was bad, the animation was bad, the graphics were bad. The story had some decent bits. I was wrong about that. The characters are fairly decent as well, but the music was good. That's one of the only redeeming things. Even if it is a bit sort of backwards, I didn't really pay attention to the music to be honest, so I didn't know what to expect. But I did hear tracks I liked in the end. Marnie's theme, Sonia's theme, Spikemuth theme. It's very interesting. And even Toby Fox's own submission for the Battle Tower one. What it was actually. Uh, Something like that. But Sword and Shield was just a disaster. And nobody really batted an eye to it really. Like the Gigantamax and Dynamax shit was so stupid. Tiny naming scheme, the fucking existence of it has to be said, it shouldn't have existed. Pointless. And to be honest, it just felt like someone's weird fetish because I've seen this before. I've seen this shit before. It does seem like someone's fetish. So, yeah, this is enough. Um, then, yeah, that was it for me. I played the DLC later on because I think I had the Battle Pass. And I didn't like this DLC either. I played the one with the deer Pokemon. I can't remember the name. The special head thing. fucking weird. Like, how do you get it bread? Just wasn't sure. Now I did the other one with the Minfu. I don't really get along with that either. Again, it's just more shit. I think I gave up on that if I'm mistaken. But yeah, and obviously Dex, it didn't help. So it's not a good look for the Pokemon Company, to be honest. The fact they've released 3 bad games in a row, that's what broke the camel's back for me. Just 3 bad games means I'm off. You've not taken any feedback, you've not listened to the community, you've not done anything. So that sucks. And I'm not one of those people to stick around with a game that mistreats me. That's something that goes without saying, really. Like, why do you think I jump from game to game? Fixation to fixation. And that's literally why. So that's why. Um, so what else? I do react to the games. I've seen playthroughs of them post Sword and Shield. Um, I've even seen the crappier mobile game stuff, and I wasn't keen on that either. Yeah, I didn't get on with Pokemon Go. I tried it once and just didn't like it. It didn't really get me out. And it's also a microtransaction fucking mess, so no. That can fuck right off. If it has a microtransaction in it, it's not my game. Simple as that, especially if it's mobile. I think mobile games are worse for that. Because it already means that you're just paying to play. That's just a general rule. Um, what else? Seen Scarlet Violet. Um, oh yeah, so the Pokemon Legends games look interesting. I don't think there's much else. Yeah, so that's it for like the games and stuff. So I guess I can talk about personal impacts in terms of just how it's impacted me positively. It's been a motivation for me and an inspiration for quite a few different reasons. And in fact, it's partly an inspiration for a new series I'm going to make myself in to replace the crappy one I made called Events of Turn. Um, I've called it Cause Roots. I don't know what else to name it. It's the first time I'm mentioning it. But I've already planned a lot of it. I've got different arcs. It's so much more organised. And the characters as well are so fucking interesting. I've literally done a full 180, and it's also thanks to the likes of South Park, which I finished recently, and One Piece as well, which is still a pretty recent memory. There's a lot of things going on that make me inspired. Pokemon is like inspiration for an element of this new series I'm making where I'll have hybrid animals basically. Literally hybrid everything. And this is also partly inspired by Final Fantasy XIV, where there is that as well. One of the coolest things I've seen in Final Fantasy XIV, for example, is like a horse dragon. Like, never seen anything like it. It's a horse with wings, which we've seen a lot, but with dragon wings. And also, it's not a horse, it's a unicorn. Got to mention that. It's so fucking cool. Like, holy shit. It's just incredible. God knows how I got there, but I don't care. It's fucking amazing. Uh, so yeah, it's like being a big inspiration. Uh, Part of it inspires my music. So music I like. I forgot to mention the other game I play. I've got 2 to go through. There's Pokemon, I think Black and White 2. Is it 1? Let me check. I've also got Platinum. But I've also got to yeah, Pokemon Black 2. There we go. Yeah, so that's on the list of games to play. I'm not planning on playing it yet. I want to find opportunities to play it without also looking like an idiot. I do kind of want to get on with it. Um, yeah, it's hard to find time to play it because I don't want to do it in public or when I'm socialising or trying to socialise. Seems a bit rude, but at the same time, it might help me cope. So I don't know. In the end, it's a bit strange to me. Um, reminds me, we gotta find fucking antibacterial wipes for like a thing. What's it called? Um, I don't know. It's like an OCD thing. I'm thinking about. Yeah, like even mental health wise, actually, like Pokemon does help. Yeah, when I go to sleep every now and then, when I'm trying to take my mind off things, I'll jump to the things that bring me the most joy in life. And imagining myself in the Pokemon world its own way, because I think this is like the only world in any fucking fictional circumstance or place, rather, that I'd actually be happy to be in. Like literally, I see myself being an evolution trainer or specialist, rather, and that being my gimmick, or maybe just cute Pokemon, but evolutions, you know, it's a it's a big deal to me. So that's what I think about that. That's why I try to imagine myself in that situation. It depends on. Actually, I've got to start doing that. I used to just think about myself and my evolutions on a beach, just listening to jazz music, trying to fall asleep as well. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, and I'm struggling to fall asleep at night. Um, then yeah, but I've just realised that I could imagine it based on the jazz playlist I'm watching, because there's often an image associated with it. Sounds weird, but there is. It could be like a cafe, it could be a town, or even just like a sea or sunset. It depends. But I'll try to imagine myself with my Pokemon in that situation, I suppose. So yeah, that's Pokemon. Like, I would say happy 30 years, but the last few years haven't been great. Has to be said. Um, so yeah, uh, better start to move on. There's stuff to do. Yeah. So, one of the things I'm wondering with one of the recent releases of the Epstein Files, and also watching Voidzilla's video on this. I'm only 32 minutes in, so it's obviously worth mentioning, but I just get wondering about what the fuck is going on. Why weren't there any arrests? It's actually kind of nuts, and a lot of this just demonstrates the problem with the world at the moment. Even looking at the comments, like, we're not a real country, we're just five megacorps in a trench coat. Traditional media is awfully quiet about what should be a global scandal, literally. I rarely see anything about this in the UK, even though there are people from the UK in this fucking file. It's just nuts, and Cash Patel lied under oath. And this comment really got me interested, because I think it's very true. There is no left versus right, it's us versus them. That just perfectly summarises the current situation, as it is the political situation, the economic situation. There's no such thing as a political belief. In the end, it's like life or death. You either choose one or the other. That's what it is now. But what people will need to understand about this is I've thought about this further, and I've realised there is actually a lot more going on than you might think. Because when it is us versus them, and it is us versus them, you have to realise it's also against the people who are should be held accountable for everything that's happened here. The people who've delayed the files, the people who've not done any arrests. And I wrote down in sort of a notepad here, like, the thing that doesn't make any sense about the Epstein files, this is what I was going to talk about, is why did the investigators not arrest anyone to begin with? This quite obviously highlights that people literally took a bribe and are corrupt. And I reckon some were even tempted by underage children, which is again probably how you can get away with it, because like sickening as it is, that's literally one of the things they have in their power. And I literally said at the end of my notes here, because let's face it, there's more than they're letting on here. They're traffickers and billionaires. And that last bit should fucking scare the shit out of anyone, because that literally means that it's not just children. They know what they've gotten themselves into, and they are aware of what they are capable of. And it literally wouldn't surprise me to find out that they're actually trafficking more than just children. It's like specific people, types of people for that matter. You know, they could even be trafficking animals in some sick fucking way. Well, to be honest, it does happen anyway. It's called animal agriculture. But, you know, they're probably doing a lot more with that than other things. So just something weird has just happened in 2014. Postage disappeared. No, it's still there. It's just someone decided to leave. Yeah. As I said, it's more than just that. There is a whole lot more going on behind the scenes that we're not understanding. And I think this is really important to getting to the bottom of this. You know, these things will just continue to happen the more we don't hold the right people accountable. And you know, this is why I say have a good sense of justice, because not a lot of people do. Unfortunately, it's like as stupid as, oh, someone attracted to children, kill them. Well, that's not fucking helpful. You're not actually changing anything. And there's just going to be more to come along. Like, it's so fucking dangerous. And that's why I say you need to be absolutely certain in your sense of justice. I wouldn't be talking about this if I wasn't. And that's why I say it should be in our hands to deal with this ourselves. Because nobody else is going to do it. And when money's involved, and again, this is like the us versus them, it's when corrupt people take money in favour of letting someone free, letting criminals literally run free and committing more immoral acts. You know, that's the injustice here, and the people who take the money are just as guilty as they are. And we really need to push that point home. Like, if our son needs to be offered like even £1 trillion, for example, in a hypothetical, just right now, just to not talk about the Epstein files, I wouldn't fucking take it. I'd be rich beyond my wildest dreams, and so would people around me. But I care more about morality. And that's far more important. And by the way, I'm not suicidal. So yeah, like, if people are just taking bribes, that's immediately a big fucking red flag. And we should be holding people accountable for that. For the fact they're letting people go for this shit. This complete atrocity. I'm not really sure what else to add here. I pretty much said everything I can. That's the reality of it. Just, there are so many corrupt people out there. There really needs to be something done about this, in all honesty. I'm just tired of seeing every fucking day when I wake up a new story about Epstein or just some AI slop. At some point, we have to start holding the right people accountable. And that's where this really stops happening. I don't see it happening any other way. So, yeah, that's the reality. So, I'll probably move on from this topic. If there's anything else that comes up, I'll try and report on it. Yeah, how fucking frustrating is that? So, I haven't done a guitar update in a while because it's been a while ago since I first talked about it. Yeah, I said I was getting a custom guitar a company I've pretty much followed and respected for quite a while. I gotta say, it's been slightly disappointing in a way. Like, my only issue is there just isn't much communication, and their forms and their site is like really weird. It's like really buggy, and I don't know what is going on with that because it's led to having to recreate things 2 times. And I've explained the first. The first to recap, I wanted to make it multi-scale, so I essentially backpedaled on what I originally planned to create and decided to make a multi-scale guitar, like I probably should have to begin with, because I'm actually getting really used to multi-scale. It's multi-scale is amazing so far. I think it'd be a big disappointment to actually not make it multi-scale, especially for a dream guitar of mine I've wanted for years. I've wanted this for so fucking long. It's actually been crazy. Um, yeah, it's been interesting. I think it does cost a lot of money. That's the problem. It's my dream guitar, so in the end, it's worth it because of its economy fucking crashing. I have to do it sooner rather than later because you never know. It's just one thing that I just want to keep for life, essentially, and remember it. Keep it for as long as possible. And there's another spider web in my net. Great. Fucking amazing. Fucking useless bug net. Wasn't there like anti-bug stuff on it or something? Stupid. Yeah, so I decided to go multi-scale in the end. Decided to make it a bit like my Ormsby, but not entirely. The appeal with the guitars that I've obviously talked about before, this company, is they just make some of the most fucking incredible looking guitars ever. It's so otherworldly and it's just that incredible. I've never seen anything like it in my years of following like guitar content. I've seen cool guitars with like fretboards and LEDs and even like resin, which is awesome. I think resin is like a close second for me. But I think in terms of like an appearance perspective, these are some of the highest quality I've ever seen. Not only do they get the wood right, they get the sort of technique right as well. They moisten up the wood beforehand before putting a finish on it. And that gives it this insane sort of glow and depth. And some guitar companies do this, but not all do. My Spectre back there, it's just turned to have a look. I'm pretty sure it doesn't have that. And yet that's a pretty mid-range guitar. Or bass rather, or guitar but bass. Yeah, this is an S Dimension 5 for anyone wondering. Scale obviously. But it's so weird to me. So I'll talk about it. So yeah, I got the multi-scale and I waited for a while before contacting again about updates because I think it's important to just let it settle. I'll be done with it and get an update much later on, and I wish I got one sooner, but luckily it didn't backfire. Because this next issue just annoys me because I didn't even notice it before. But it's only because I noticed because I asked for pictures this time, because they don't send automatic updates, which is a bit bizarre to me. Honestly, I think they should to an extent. It's not hard to organise, I don't think, given they can find it just as easily. But I suppose it should be an optional thing rather than, oh, here's your pictures. Because yeah, some people don't want to be spoiled on it, but people keep asking me how it's coming along, and I just need to show that it's coming along. So yeah, I got pictures a few days ago, and yeah, it looks very good. The fretboard is fucking otherworldly because they're using a zero coat wood for it, which I've never seen on a guitar before. I've seen stuff like Pale Moon Ebony, which is insane in its own way. I've seen like other types. I'm pretty sure. I think I've even seen resin fretboards, but zero coat is just fucking insane. It is seriously otherworldly. I've never seen a wood like it. It's just crazy. I'm glad they had that because I was going with a close second to that, which is Macasol Ebony. But they don't do it for multi-scale, so yeah. And the patterns in mine seem really good. They managed to line up the dots with the patterns in the wood, the swirls and stuff. And if you look up a picture of Zero Coat, you can see some of the insane patterns. It's like something out of a fantasy novel or something. Just that crazy of a pattern. And even when it's like dark and stuff. Like if I had to get like a table that wasn't like modern, it'd have to be Zero Coat. It just looks that fucking good. So yeah, that was nice. Bindings on it. The headstock wood I wouldn't say is actually the best one I've seen. It's the only slight disappointment with that is because that's kind of the coolest part of it at times. It just didn't have enough like poplar bell on it for some reason. Because I chose that as my top wood. But then we get to the body, where there is an issue. So they got everything else right, but the body turns out there's no binding on it because I got an override binding on the neck and the headstock. And I thought I chose it on the body as well, but apparently not. But apparently it's not my fault, which is interesting. Yeah, their forms are a bit buggy, as I said, a bit odd. They don't exactly work the way they should. Because I remember putting in my first order and it decided to remove a lot of the things I had initially put. You know, like a headstock that's specific, and it decided not to add that. Like, great, thanks. So yeah, that was a bit odd. So I thought about it for a day or two, and I decided, you know what, this is going to bother me, so I'm just going to look at the end. Look in the end, rather. Because I just don't want this to be fucking wrong. I don't want to waste all this money just to have a slight irregularity on this dream guitar of mine. It's just not worth it. So I contacted them, luckily I did. And that's why they said that it was not my mistake. But they'd have to build the body again, which is like fucking second time. And I was worried that there'd be a third time this fucking shit would happen. I suspected it might, but I just didn't expect it in this way. You know, if it was like, oh, the backwards was wrong or something, I wouldn't care, to be honest. Like, the backwards you barely see anyway. But yeah, it's just like, it's frustrating. I picked a second one, uh, second blue for this guitar, rather, but third overall. And it's gonna probably look good. I picked one with a fair few like patterns on it. And in terms of like poplar belt and stuff, it's got quite a few things going on there. And also I suspect when the moisture is added, the swells on it would just look pretty insane. There are like slight swells in that. Poplar belt wood for some reason. Yeah, it would look pretty interesting. But yeah, that's a guitar update. That's not really. I was keeping a diary of all this as well. It's good to mention. Not sure how I feel about sharing it, to be honest. Just mainly to keep it documented and stuff, yeah, just in case. It's just like the process as well. And this one's just easier to organise. I need to look back on it, I can look back on it. Yeah, it's just there. So yeah, I'll move on. Plenty of things to do. Yeah, I gotta say something about this. I was thinking about it because I saw another sort of good post from an organisation I follow called Greenpeace, and the comment sections are always a fucking battlefield. Like, there's so many just absolutely nonsense comments, and even then, you get like racist environmentalists and shit. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? just absolutely crazy. But some of these comments are just absolute garbage. They don't even make a point. And this is me being so many years into sort of looking at demonstrable evidence for things and debating or arguing in that sense, like both really. And after so many years, I eventually realised that you sometimes have to just lie. Because one of the biggest problems with a lot of these opposing comments is they just lie themselves. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing a more convincing lie. Because in my opinion, that's exactly what they're doing, but better. And it's just one up. And so when they try to get the upper hand on you again, you just do the same. Well, not the same, but you can do better on what I meant to say. So it's like, it's such a load of bullshit that this can even happen. And I'm surprised that various social media and outlets don't even actually monitor the misinformation in these comment sections. I get that we should be entitled to free speech and all for it. The problem is when people are spreading harmful information, which is hate speech. Yes, even saying something like, "Oh, climate change isn't real," it's technically a form of hate speech. Let me explain. When it comes to climate change, it is very much demonstrably real. It's been observed, it's been studied, it's been demonstrated all the way through. And to say that it's not real because you think it is, if it isn't real, that is just hate speech because then it harms other people. These words, which are technically in action as well, because no doubt it influences you as well, they end up harming people in the end. With climate change, it's already harming a shit ton of people. So you can be branded a racist, you can be branded a criminal, genocidal maniac, because you're supporting these things. That's why I sort of draw the line at misinformation and disinformation when it comes to free speech, because it becomes hate speech in the end. At a fundamental level, that's what it does. Yes, partly indirectly, as with most things. But when there's no evidence put forward, it is pretty dangerous. And if someone is stupid enough to be convinced of that, then that's another problem in itself. So I don't know what the best course of action is other than labeling something for what it is, which is obviously misinformation in this case. So I think it's important to point that out. But as for the lying thing, I think it would be good to point out the hypocrisy. Because I think this is really important, and I do think it has a point to it as well. You can actually make your point with his arguments where people are saying misinformation. Like, I saw this thing about immigration from ITV News of all things. There's a bunch of fucking idiots in the UK, because that's what they are, demonstrably, by the way. They decided to gather and protest a bunch of immigrants. I'm not sure if it's immigrants, just migrants. So they actually migrated, but they migrated, and these people are protesting them. Even though this is the same crowd that says, "Oh, we like migrants, but we just don't like illegal immigrants." Like, there's a fucking double standard there. They obviously don't believe that. And it's fundamental racism, so I think in the end what you should do is make up something about them. Make up something about migrants that isn't true, but isn't demonstrably provable even. To prove them wrong, you say like, "Oh, I've met these 500 immigrants. They're very nice people." I don't know why I'd say that. Because they want to believe everything that they do is wrong. They literally do. So what you want to do in the end is instill a sort of sense of doubt to the people who are obviously fucking lying about this, which are usually reform voters. There's nobody else who does this. But you know, all these people make up these things about immigrants based on no evidence. So you can make up something about immigrants based on no evidence. but in a positive way. You can actually show that actually it's not harmful. You say that you met these immigrants, they are struggling to get by a bit, but they're nice people. Like literally. I met all 500 of them. The ones that have just been transported. Yeah, like, it also inspires critical thinking as well. Because if nobody can look at that and think like, oh, well hang on, how do you meet 500 immigrants the day they arrived? Like, that's only possible if you wait by where they arrived, but even then, you don't want to fucking meet them because they're all spread out. So yeah, like, it gets you thinking. That's the point. If the stuff doesn't get you thinking, then you're obviously not applying like, your resources properly. You need to be thinking about these things constantly, having doubts in your head, having obviously a good heart. I think this is an important point as well to make. Having like a good heart is, once it sounds cliche as fucking for a cartoon or fantasy or whatever. It's important to note that being kind to each other far outweighs hatred, because at this point, the amount of hatred that exists in the world doesn't serve to benefit anyone, or even reform those who themselves think it does. But it doesn't. The reality is that hatred comes back to bite you. It's almost like karmic justice in a sense. You know, there is possibly a chance in today's world that people who are actually responsible, which by the way are the billionaires usually, will get what they deserve in the end. I don't know what it is. At some point, they're going to be fucking eating out the crapper. Not going to be eating off a plate anymore. You know? It's karmic justice, and that's why you should always treat people kindly. We already do enough things with consequences, so minimise it. It's a basic piece of advice. It's not a soft or feminine thing to do, contrary to what people say. It takes a lot of fucking strength to admit you're wrong. It takes strength to even help people, for that matter, because, yeah, inconveniences you. Those inconveniences should make you stronger. Because someone else who doesn't have the strength is going to benefit. That's why I think that's really important. I don't even know what else to add here because, to be honest, it's like one of the biggest things. And also, if you just had a really fucked up life or a fucked up mind, helping others could be the best possible thing for your own mental health. It's literally possible for that to happen. And that is also important because, once again, all sorts of that sort of comes back. You know, the good that you give to the world can eventually come back to help you. And a lot of people are worried about immigrants, but try to direct that right into something like positivity. Because that's far more beneficial in the long run. It's going to help more people. And it'll just do a lot more. Like, it'll help you. There isn't much more I could say on this. You know, as I said, these things about lying, you know, don't stoop to those lows. Only use it in a way to convince people that they're wrong or just plain stupid in a way. That's literally the only use for it. But some people will obviously, yeah, it's just fucking difficult. I'll try to end this really. Just something I've been thinking about. I literally do think this is the sort of thing we need to do. I don't know if it confuses the narrative too much or not, but it feels necessary. I'll just be straight up about it. It does absolutely feel necessary at this point. It's ridiculous how people get away with this crap. We shouldn't be allowing it. So, yeah. Don't really have much else to say. I think that's it for this topic, actually. So, yeah, let's move on. So this is a topic I wanted to talk about because I heard it in a recent politics podcast, and it's interesting. it's about schools and SEN in schools, and I have some perspective on this given that I used to be in a SEN group myself because I was technically special needs. You know, I've global learning delays and autism and no doubt ADHD, but I was undiagnosed. I'm like 90% sure I have it now. And there are other issues like anxiety, which wasn't diagnosed back then, but should have been, because I actually did have it. So, I have a perspective on this that people may or may not like, because I like inclusivity. It's good for people, but it's only as good as the people who understand it, and that means children need education to actually be able to tolerate people with differences. And where the guy in the podcast, I've got his name actually, could have a look. Come on, open up a stupid thing, I can't even see the title because YouTube has a shitty interface on the phone. Come on. No, that's not it, that's not it. Jesus Christ, there it is. Okay, Daniel Kibidi. I don't know how you say his last name. But Daniel was basically talking about this, and I'm not halfway through it even at this point. Worth mentioning because it could change. Being a special needs person in that time where we had like foundation tier and the A tier for education here, there were difficulties. So primary school was a problem in itself, and that was the hardest part of school, in my opinion. It's definitely one of the scariest times because of the amount of bullying I had encountered there, and just made me not want to go to school. On top of having not much support or people really understanding me. Weirdly enough, like I had such strange habits that I literally crapped myself once, not at school, but luckily, but at a place that I was due to go for quote unquote therapy. And it didn't work, it was for speech therapy actually. Weirdly enough, that's how I remember it. So yeah, that's probably why I don't want to go there again. Fear of crapping myself, because that actually can happen now. People are not. I've not done it yet, but I have IBD, so it might happen. Yeah, it's quite frustrating, to be honest. But all this on top of education just doesn't help in the slightest. It just makes me feel like more of an outcast, and despite all the quote unquote help that that's supposed to give, like speech therapy, it didn't change the situation at school, and so I wasn't really as interested because the school situation didn't change. And with enough, I was almost preparing for like a transfer to a school which caters to my needs, supposedly. It's like a special needs school itself. And I ended up not going because apparently I'm too intelligent, but I don't really see that. It's a bit strange given that I actually failed my SATs. And I literally just guessed it, I never did the working out on that. I literally just guessed everything. I made shit up. I didn't even try. And yeah, somehow I made it through to secondary school. Classrooms over were disruptive-ish. I won't say they're the most disruptive, but they are problematic at times. And certainly some of the support isn't that good. As like I talked about this before, but like I wasn't even taught about something like racism. And so whether I missed that or not, it really ruined part of my life because now I have this sort of scar on my fucking memory about actually being racist to other children. And it's like, fucking hell. Like, you could have done a better job, and to be honest, so could have my parents, but I wasn't taught about this again. It wasn't something that was really spoken about, and even though they'd probably seen people of colour there, it wasn't like, oh, you know why they're of colour? I wasn't asked anything like that. There's no questioning or reason. So I couldn't have actually accepted someone of a different race. So that's not one of the issues anyway. But going into secondary school, I had a much better time. There was much less bullying. Still some problems here and there. But the biggest problem by far has to be the inclusion. And this is going to be, again, a controversial point. I don't think it's always a good idea to have inclusion in education. There are certain people who are just not designed, for lack of a correct term, or born to be in that situation. And there are certain people who can do it quite well. And luckily I was kind of that one person who could do it well. But I saw other special needs kids in my class who just completely struggled. There's like a kid with autism who got picked on a lot for no fucking reason. Apparently he was picked on for being a pedo. I don't know what the fuck that was about. There wasn't even any proof of that. No idea where he is at the moment, because I don't really stay in contact with any school friends or people I knew. There are plenty of other kids there, and we also had this special break room, which was actually a good thing, by the way, because it allowed for people with sensory issues like me to sort of get used to it. But eventually I got around to the idea of going into the cafeteria to go for break, and also the music room, because the music room was fucking amazing. We got access to computers and we got to eat lunch, which was amazing. Our music teacher was just, he was one of the best teachers in there, other than our science teacher. He allowed it open for that, and yeah, it's just great. There wasn't really many places that were safe, exactly, and that was one of the issues. Because inclusivity is only as good as the issues that we have. Like, when it's not catered towards us, it becomes a massive problem. And there could even be cases where, in terms of like school food, they're talking about free school food at the moment on the podcast. And I had access to it, technically speaking, because my family was sort of low income. Well, one side of my family was, the other wasn't so much. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had free school food. I can't remember. I know some of my friends did. Certainly they did it anyway. But one of the problems is food avoidance, and this is something that's probably mostly to do with neurodivergent people, but it probably could be other people as well. People with neurotic issues. Is that a term? Neuro issues, I'd say. Not neurotic, but and that can cause problems, and also allergies. And that's where free school meals don't really work. And I'm like 90% sure that whenever I was in school, they used to put like milk and shit in, like the mashed potatoes, and there's obviously some parts that are just not very accessible, and some things that may not even work for some people, like the protein maybe. Or it's just like a preference thing, like you just don't want to deal with some of that shit. I think it varies from person to person, obviously. But as for the classrooms as well, this needs to be said because this is where the main point of inclusivity is. It's not always going to be good. As I said, there's like A tier and foundation. And I was in foundation for every single subject. And that meant that I had the highest possible grade of C. Whereas A tier, for some stupid fucking reason, started at the lowest of C. So essentially I had a head start. They could get a B, like a B or an A in their course, and not even like an A plus or something. And yeah, like that's an unfair advantage. So that shit needs to change, for sure. I really don't think there's much of a gap between the two, and I know of it now. It's different for people with my learning disabilities. It's like I can't really learn that. But that's a whole other issue. It's like ideally classes and teaching assistants and stuff, which I didn't have, by the way, need to be supporting you to learn that, essentially. They need to be allowing you to be able to wrap your head around it, or at least give you a head start. Like find a way to connect the pattern, and this is what training can also do as well. One of the things about learning difficulties that I've noticed is about patterns. It literally just takes recognizing a pattern to actually get something to register. And that's often all it takes for me now, today. But when people don't do that, it doesn't really serve to help. And so there's always going to be that struggle. Well, I didn't succeed in English. In fact, I failed it 2 times, once in school and once in college. And then I took it a third time rather, and passed. And it took me a while to do, because English was just so hard to understand. But maths was quite easy thanks to gaming. I was quite a massive gamer, and also home life matters as well. This is the other thing. If you want inclusivity to work, you need to make sure it includes the home life, because what children are going through at home can really impact them. Because I had divorced parents, it's kind of complicated to say that, like, people ask me how I'm doing, or maybe even like my holiday and my parents, and I'd have to somehow explain that my parents are divorced. It's like, I'm tired of explaining this. They're just divorced. Like, can you take a hint, please? And the complication in that is I had to go between the two. Even though there's actually only one parent I wanted to go to in the end, but that's another story in itself. It's just because there wasn't time for me on one side, and the other there was, but yeah, it's just far more convenient for me, and also just sensory friendly. It was a sensory hellscape in one place rather than the other. Yeah, but obviously addressing things at the home can just really help. This also creates an opportunity for jobs, because I think one of the things that people need to do, at least government, is it not cut funding for education, but to enable inclusivity. You literally need to fucking get people out there, going to people's homes, or not going to, meeting them, and like in the evening and shit, just to figure out what's going on there, to see if there's anything off or anything not right. And this is a council job, technically speaking. Like, literally, it's their job. And if they're not doing that, then, well, there's going to be more injustice in there. Those children are going to grow up in a crappy living situation, and they're going to grow up to be crappy people, possibly. And that's partly on the council. You have the money to fund like visits like that. I just don't understand why they don't exactly do that sort of thing. There's like a monthly planner that each day potentially just go to see someone, except weekends obviously. We go to see multiple people at a certain time, and it's just, yeah, if parents don't want to opt in, then I'd argue that's a cause for concern. At least for parents that have children that are misbehaved, and this is sort of the thing, you need to communicate with each other. The school needs to communicate with the council, and the council needs to communicate with them, so that things can get done. And if you find out that there's obviously a behavioural issue, and it's linked to the home, then yeah, that could really fucking help to actually get to the bottom of that and provide the support that's needed. So yeah, I'm not sure what to add there. But I have to explain now the problem with like the classrooms, and this is a big one for me, which is why I was saying might be controversial. Not all special needs people should be in there. Simple as that. I get the idea of including people in these things, but you should include them in the ways that obviously they're going to be best at the things. So I wouldn't expect someone with severe learning difficulties to be able to, for example, get along with certain topics. So it could be English, like myself, I struggle with that. But it could be something else. It could be, I don't know, maths. It could be that they struggle with that. But their specialty is what matters here, and being able to find inclusivity in their specialty is actually the most important thing. Because if anything, I think having that just helps. And the problem in school is like we had like a lot of my friends I made in the classes that children were most misbehaved in and most bored in. You know, in the English classes, I remember like, I didn't take it too seriously. And I took it semi-seriously, so I appeared like I was working, but my friends didn't. And they get detention a lot of the time, so they misbehave a lot. Um, it's just, yeah, it's a rough situation. That only happens because you put them together, you put us together rather, and then even then you just get new friends anyway in a different class. Um, so like, it's interesting. The screws are clicking because doing a thing grinding. Yeah, but like that sort of inclusivity isn't exactly great because like one of my friends was low income, the other I think was like middle class. And we hung around together a lot actually. It was to the point where we just made fun of each other. Um, and that does cause problems in the classroom because we know we can misbehave with each other and stuff. And yeah, it gets disruptive, that's the issue. So people with issues like myself can't actually learn because it gets disrupted. Yeah, the amount of times there's been like I don't know, William, why are you fucking misbehaving? In the back there. I'm not saying fucking, obviously. It's like they threatened to get the school security because yes, we had that. It's I forgot what they called it actually. We had like a security system where teachers couldn't send an email to the security sector of the thing and be able to get them to remove a children or a child from the class if need be by force. By the way, you know, it wasn't like a you know talk him out thing. It's literally just by force. And to be honest, I don't really mind that. I think it's necessary at times, and that sort of discipline and sport does feel like needs to happen. To be honest, weirdly enough, it wasn't a guy though that was doing it. It was just like it's often a woman. I don't know why. It felt a bit unfair to me because she didn't look like she was buff or anything. So yeah, it's a bit of a strange choice, in my opinion. Um, like she didn't have the strength to exactly pull them out, but maybe she did, and she just wasn't showing it. I don't know. Um, you know, that was one of the problems. And that was like the worst sort of case scenario. Is like they weren't called often, but they were called sometimes. And they also like arrived to bring people's attention and stuff. Um, so what's the other thing? Like being lower tier, like they put special needs people in the lowest tiers for some reason. This is my other issue. This is why I said that putting like even people like me in some of the harder groups can actually be beneficial because when you get it, you get it, like the patterns and the learning difficulties and stuff. But if you don't get it, that's fine. At least you were in a classroom where people could actually focus and children weren't misbehaved. And the fact that you're also exposing them to your reality, it's like, oh, like, this kid is really struggling with this thing. Like, some will obviously look at that and think, oh, fucking moron. But others will actually be more empathetic and passionate about that. And will start to wonder how they can help. It wasn't the case in my time, but I'm pretty sure it happens now. There's plenty of children online who speak about like various topics like LGBTQ+, and even like Gaza. Like children are more intelligent than we give them credit for. And that's one of the biggest issues as well. It's like when people start to treat children as less than human, it's like, oh, well, now you're just being an arsehole. You're being a cunt. Because they're not. At least in most cases, they're not. So yeah, that just gets frustrating to see. Um, so what else is there to say? Um, there are definitely cases where certain children just can't be in that class, like whether they're misbehaving themselves on special needs, or whether they're just unable to learn. Like, it's just a reality that some just can't. And it's sad, but that's true. Literally. I think I did it myself a few times, I wouldn't say a fair few times, but I have seen it. I've seen it happen, and it's just, yeah, it sort of ends up ruining their life, to be honest. And it's the fault of the education system. How you fail to put them in a reasonable situation where they can also just be happy and, live a proper normal classroom life or anything. Yeah. So I'll say education does fail there. And it could be much better. What else is there to say? Oh, I feel tired for some reason. Annoying. I can't really think. That's not coming to me if there is something to think about. I don't know. But that's not my thoughts on this. It's a very sensitive topic in my opinion because, as I said, my education wasn't exactly the best and it was hindered by disruptive students, which is again why I bring in that thing about seeing what's going on at home. You need to ask the child directly what's going on, like pull them aside in the classroom, which would be kind of good for them, I guess, for some. Because I remember being pulled for the classroom, it's like, yes, no learning. Even though it wasn't always a good thing as like an employment site. But it was just good to be out of the classroom anyway. Having those one-to-one meetings, finding out what's going on at home, what's causing all these problems, and then meeting the people. Like, again, it's not like we need to visit everyone's home. It's like, you need to find out what's going on with these kids, mark them, flag them in the system, get people on the fucking ball, and sort this out. Because this shouldn't be happening. It's not hard to figure out. Like, come on, people. Yeah, I'm the one with learning difficulties. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. So, I better move on. I've got tasks to do. Quite busy at the moment. So, yeah. So, here's something I was wondering yesterday that I completely forgot to talk about. And, it's interesting. And I really thought about this because of like South Park. And it's interesting because I just wondered why the fuck I even got the term. And it's just a weird thing in general. But I'm going to talk about why is it called political correctness? Like, literally. Why? It's so fucking confusing to me that I just genuinely do not understand. And I've looked at the term here, the definition, relating to the government or public affairs. And then there's others, similar, it says relating to ideas and strategies of a particular party or group in politics. Motivated by a person's beliefs or actions concerning politics. And there's a derogatory term, done or acting in interest of status or power within an organisation rather as a matter of principle. Is that derogatory? Okay. That's weird. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Because if this is somehow political, then what the fuck is... What is it actually? Because you can't just broaden it as political, you have to give it a specific definition. Like the same way we put things under a category of, something relating to a group. And to say all this is under the group of politics is just misleading because everything else is as well. Economy is political and there are obviously political correctness is to it. If you want to believe that. But that just doesn't make sense. Like, why would there be political correctness in economics? unless we're talking about supporting poor people, but even then that could be seen as political correctness. So there is that question of like, why the fuck is this given such a stupid name? Why is it called political correctness? And my answer is literally a theory, but hear me out. I think it's to do with the far right and how they just do not like admitting to the fact that they're wrong about these things. Essentially, they're wrong about wokeness. And I think this is an important point to make because wokeness is currently one of the leading things that gets people on board and gets them to care, give a shit. And that's the thing because people who are quite woke, like myself, definitely, we want to see a world where progress is made rather than regress. And I just think that it's so problematic when people just do the shit when they call it that. Then we've even taken it upon ourselves and actually called it something else. I mean, actually, no, that's not the wrong way to put it. We claim it. We're not fucking using it, we're actually claiming it for ourselves, and that in itself is a strategy that's no doubt caused mass panic in the far right who wanted to deem it as political correctness to make it sound like it was bad or something. Because even then, a lot of people agree that politics in general was just built on liars and lies and shit. There's no doubt about that. So that obviously becomes the leading charge of a lot of these motivations here. So yeah, it's like pretty weird, to be honest. So, not sure what to add really, but I guess I'd say that they've also adopted a new term, which is obviously woke, if you haven't guessed it. That's kind of what it is. It's like, yeah, like you're woken up to the reality of things, and that's what they're scared of for some reason. Like they self-admit by calling things woke that they're immediately wrong. Like I actually almost believe that the term woke was actually made by someone progressive because the amount of bullshit I just see with people being inconsistent, it's like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, are you kidding me? People want to believe that, you know, it's something's woke and it's bad. Like, look at the word itself. It's to mean you've literally woken up to the truth. And you're already admitting that you don't accept the truth for what it is. It's just fucking absolutely insane. Just can't believe that. So yeah, but as for what I'd call it, rather than political correctness, I think, in my opinion, the correct term is social correctness because when it comes to these specific topics, it's about social justice, and that's what it is. You know, obviously we've got the term social justice warrior, and again, this feels like a term like woke, where people admit they're wrong. But it's fucking crazy that nobody realises that. But obviously the term social justice warrior appears because people just want to give a label to something to just demean it or trivialise it. It's another one. And I think that's a problem in itself, obviously. Um, yeah, it's actually pretty nice. But yeah, I'll just call it social correctness, and that to me is like a better term for describing this. The only reason we outlaw words, or not outlaw, but you know, condemn words in society is because of that. Everyone's got their right to free speech, but I'll just call it social correctness, you know? I won't call a dwarf a midget anymore because that's a derogatory term. Sometimes I couldn't pronounce derogatory. Um, but yeah, like, those are the sort of things I'm talking about. That's a socially correct thing to say, rather than politically correct. And I hate associating with politics anyway, because it is literally a social thing. As far as I know, there's no lawmaker saying, "Oh, you can't call them midgets anymore." Again, in this example, I'm not using it as in that context, but yeah, it's an example, not what I'm actually saying. Like, nobody's saying that. Like, you have the choice to use whatever terminology you want, even if it is derogatory or bigoted. That's what free speech is. Then people just try to make it out that it's not actually what free speech is. And yeah, it's just extremely fucking annoying. So I don't really have anything else to say, but that's my opinion on this. I literally don't think it's political correctness anymore. There's no way it could be, and yes, it does relate to public relations, but the public isn't always right, and to categorise everyone else as being in that is just stupid, because there are different sides, and arguably it's easier to categorise people as socially correct and socially incorrect. That's what it is. We're a social species. Like, politics has no fucking meaning in that. So yeah, I better move on. I've got stuff to do. So let's go. So something I've been thinking about recently, with regards to like the immigrant stuff and racism, is to do with just every sort of perception about it, and just basically not shutting down people who are immediately saying something. And you know, it's silly to just see this shit happening still, like almost on a daily basis to an extent. And it's like you realise that the reason that we have racism is because it's been taught, or it's been drilled into someone's head, or literally based on a personal experience. And this does unfortunately happen. It sucks, but it does. And I think the only way to address it really is to look at truth in a different way, and this is the way I started to see it a few years ago. I started to see it as not the thing I wanted, but the thing that we needed. And this is more important than ever in terms of everything going on around the world and the amount of bullshit we see every single fucking day. Whether it's about the US, Israel, Palestine, anything. Anything that's in the news headlines that's controversial, or even in the case of Palestine, not in the news headlines, and yet it's still controversial somehow. And that's why I say the truth is what we need it to be, rather than what we want it to be. I think that's really interesting. It's really important. So yeah, I think that's an important point to make, because it doesn't suit our needs, not all the time anyway. You know, I have some uncomfortable truths, admittedly. It was some of my really serious problems, and I face them. It doesn't mean I can always get what I want, but the reality is I try to cope and try to accept it. And that's better than what people are currently doing, which in regards to topics like immigration or racism. They just choose to believe a false truth. Because it's very much something that has evidence. Like, sure, people of a certain race can commit more crimes, it's not racist to point that out, by the way. Anyone who does say it's racist to point that out is just bigoted as well. Not as bigoted as other people, but still bigoted either way. You know, it works both ways. There's no such thing as a leftist or socialist that is never bigoted, because they do exist, unfortunately. And in fact, some of them even turn to the right, so you know, that's sort of where they end up belonging in the end, which sucks. But that's the reality. You know, anyone can be bigoted, and that's a premise you should always accept. You're not immune. You know, it happens. It's absolutely ridiculous that there's a notion that left people don't think they're of like abuse in the community or anything. So there's also a bunch of absurdity there, and something's not real, not true. So yeah, like one of the points I wanted to touch on with this, I guess, is how not everything you see online is honestly anything to believe. It's confusing, but hear me out. The biggest problem today is that nobody actually looks further than what they see at face value. And this has a few issues, and you have to admit when something's taken at face value. Oftentimes, just to save your skin for starters, but also to show that you're actually being genuine. This is immediately a big problem because this currently leads to what I see as the most bad faith arguments. And as I said, if there was a leftist or socialist that's obviously just calling someone racist rather than demonstrating why, or even just having a conversation where they need to, by the way, then, you know, we've got a problem there. Or someone also believing in a false truth and just coping in the worst way possible. In fact, it's going to damage the beliefs even more. Yeah, it's just not going to help. I forgot what I was going to say, but I think it'll come back to me eventually. So yeah, like things need to be done in good faith rather than bad faith, which it currently seems like it has been for people who are quote unquote socialist or not socialist but far right as well. It goes both ways, as I said. We need to be able to understand and accept the truth even more. I think it's really important. So, you know, you can't really have a world without this shit. Because it's dangerous. It's seriously fucking dangerous. If we don't favour the truth, it is just going to come back and bite us. That's the reality of it. And that has been going on for centuries now. It's happened in the past, it's happened in a more industrial era, it's still happening in some places anyway. You know, that's the thing, that's truth. It's not comfortable, doesn't conform to your ideas always, but you have to accept it for what it is. Otherwise you're just going to be another outcast, and eventually one of the truths that we will have to face, being the people that we are accepting it, is that you'll be in the fucking like minority there. You'll be in the section of society where people just look at you and potentially even spit on you because you're that pathetic, and that's often how I view people who use racism and it's just whatever to describe it. But on the topic of racism as well, we 100% shouldn't criticise people who are racist, and that's important. Same with like calling people fascists. It's like we have to justify it. That's what it's for. That's what the word was invented for. To explain properly about a certain issue. And without that, you know, what fucking good is that doing? You literally need to explain this crap. And yeah, I can see it leading to severe consequences, and with regards to racism again. Look at the evidence. Based on what I've read, and obviously some of this is at face value, a lot of the signs point to bad living standards, and this isn't an issue to do with race. It's completely to do with how the current country is treating them, the current living situation rather. So oftentimes they're in low financial areas and they have to resort to more violent means to even get money, and you know, it often requires a lot more money to do as well to get into those jobs, and they get the money by doing those jobs, risking everything, and then the community fucking condemns it. Well, of course it should. It depends on the job, really. Like if it's trafficking, if it's fucking horrible. If it's for like gangs and stuff, yeah, it's also horrible. But we can't be constantly putting the blame on them, when in reality it's actually us. In the UK, the biggest problem we found recently is like 4 supposed immigrant sexual abuse allegations, I should say, currently sparked a entire fucking movement. 4 people. of like a population of at least 100,000 immigrants, which isn't even 1% of the UK's population. Like, do I even need to say anymore? You realise how fucking absurd that is? How small the number of 4 is to 100,000? It's just ridiculous. This is why people call out bigotry and obviously racism. Because it does feel like people are using something here as like an agenda to obviously get away with this shit. And it's obviously not helping, it's not healthy either. Like, nobody deserves that either. It sucks. Which is why I say that the truth is not always what you want it to be, but it's what we need it to be. There's a fundamental understanding of these truths. The fact that immigrants are doing this, or can do it rather, is solely to do with us and us not looking inwards enough. That's why it's a big problem. That's why it needs to be acknowledged properly, rather than just like, I don't know, your dad, grandfather, whoever, just sitting in the chair saying, "Oh, it's all the Paki's faults," they say. You know, that's the fucking problem. You're just believing things and then convincing yourself of these things that you just believe, rather than have justified, have demonstrated. And that's still dangerous. It's dangerous to your family, it's dangerous to younger generations, it's dangerous to you. And that's because it comes back and bites you. Because depending on who you align with, it causes problems further down the end. And this is the other thing I have to bring up. Like today, I heard a fucking really annoying sentence come out of the mouths of people I know. It's like, "Oh, this person's not doing their job properly because they're from Pakistan." Like, and they said they're miserable, and it's like, do you even fucking know what they go through? Not only in their own country, but where they are now. It's like such a no-brainer, and yet it doesn't occur to people that the amount of discrimination that these people receive on a daily basis, especially as a result of the recent immigration protests, is the reason they're probably so miserable. It's like they're worried that the next fucking person that comes in is just going to harass them, and they probably were already harassed for it. And responding in a way that's like quote unquote socially acceptable, which isn't, by the way, because just fucking lashing out at anyone in this day and age is terrible. You're a fucking cunt if you do that. There's no other word for you. And like, you deserve the worst that comes to you as well, because that's just unjustifiable. Nobody deserves a fucking treatment. It's minimum wage. It's not paying enough, and these people, on top of that, are like being racially profiled. It's absolutely insane. I can't believe the amount of bigotry there is. And yet people still wonder, like, oh, why are they so miserable? Why are they so evil? Just take a fucking hint. It's to do with us, it's not them. It's absolutely stupid. So I don't really know what to add to this, but that's my point, really. I'm just fed up with this crap. I see it too much, see it too often, and it just bothers me a lot. So, obviously, to reiterate, it's not someone's race that's the problem. It's not even their culture, for that matter. In fact, I do expect people who come from other cultures to just endure ours, rather than enforce theirs. Like, especially when it comes to like human rights. I think it's fucking horrible if people bring over that. And that's not racist to say, by the way. But when the cultures are literally like harming people, that's the problem. But our culture is harming them. So what does that say about them? Like, literally, we do far worse things than some of these other cultures. And that really says something. That really demonstrates the problem. And it's often a blame game, it's often like this. Like, it's our fault that this is fucking happening to them. They're in that situation. Jesus Christ, it ain't hard to figure out. I really do not get people sometimes. It just confuses me. Anyway, that's another topic done. Yeah, fuck United Kingdom, whatever that is. I think it's United Kingdom. And raise the flag. Like, they are obviously racist. That has to be said. You know, everything I've heard from them, from their supporters, it just doesn't sound great. It doesn't demonstrate anything, it doesn't get to the truth, and well, I could easily be converted, by the way, because I used to be one of them. I used to be, not them, but, you know, racist in my past to an extent. I used to think like immigration was bad and stuff, and taking our jobs. But, you know, I could be convinced. I'm not fucking immune to that. I won't go as childish as to say someone's an N-word. You know, I'm tempted to say it because people think I'm fucking too soft. But I'm not. I call myself a retard, I call myself a faggot as well. You know, I drop things that I obviously shouldn't be saying, but that's to prove a fucking point. I don't really want to call people the N-word because, one, I don't know if that's actually offensive, and two, it's not my place to use it. Even then, I address people in the proper manner. You know, if someone's a black person, I'm using that as a description. That person is a black person, so yeah, like they're not the N-word. That's my point. It's just really stupid when we use slurs in place of constructive language. I don't think anyone should be cancelled for using the N-word because sometimes it's actually just drilled in, much like most other racism out there. Anyway, I think I'll move on because I've spoken way too much and I need to eat food. Actually, I haven't eaten much today, it's just rare. You should eat quite a bit, but so let's move on. So, in my last podcast episode, I believe I brought up disabled parents, and I wanted to add something to that which sort of relates to everything that I've ever spoken about. And that's about societal standards. And I really think that if we're rational beings, which we're not at the moment, we need to be looking at judging people not by societal standards but who they appear as. And, you know, this, like, I don't know, I'm not sure how to word it exactly, but I get fed up of these criticisms about people for their race, for their disability, or anything like that. And it's just a load of bullshit, usually. Like, nobody actually believes this, but some people do. And they believe it so much that it's literally a matter of, oh, you need to be up to society's standards. And whenever I feel depressed about just the way that people are treating me, I have to remind myself that existence is resistance, and you know that's true for a lot of different things, not just obviously trans issues where I've actually heard this the most. It exists everywhere, and I think that's really important. That's literally some of the best advice I can give, literally. Unless you're like absolutely fucked, like there's no reason to actually commit suicide over anything. And I thought about this as well because I used to be quite suicidal, at least in my head, and I often wanted to die because I just couldn't live the way everything was because things became unlivable. But eventually I sort of managed to get through that, and I thought about what powers me through this. Like, how do I keep on living? Because it's something I've wondered, and I do sometimes get asked, why do I keep on living anyway? Like, people ask me, well, a therapist asked me before. It wasn't very helpful, unfortunately, because there's no therapy for people like me. It's like they ask why I don't kill myself already, and it's like, well, because I don't want to live in misery. It's as simple as that. And to die in misery is essentially one of the worst ways to go. Because you not only place that burden on the people you know and love, but you also don't know what's even going to happen in the afterlife. Like, do you repeat the same life? Are we just living through our own death at this point? Like, seeing every point up until it? Is that why we exist? It's so fucking confusing. It's like we're stuck in a loop, but I don't know. That's why I also get this suspicion of like deja vu and stuff, and even then deja vu sort of, from a rational standpoint, makes me want to fucking kill myself as well, because it feels as if I'm just repeating the same shit over and over again, and the only way to stop it is literally just to break the cycle as soon as possible. So it's really hard to sort of tackle. But yeah, it just frustrates me when societal standards are literally that. It's like you need to be a societal standard to people or you're just useless to them. It just doesn't make any sense. So, I don't really know what to add, but that's my thoughts on that. I think it's very important to acknowledge this, and I think if you have some conceptions of what society should be, I think you need to start reevaluating. I think about this because of how certain people in my life treat me every now and then. It's like, I don't want to be treated like this. It's like, because I can't speak that much, people are condemning me for it. And if they're not doing it loudly, they're doing it silently. And you just know it, because you get that feeling, it's like in the room. It's not hard to figure out. And yet they think I'm so stupid that I don't even know. It's a crazy thing about this. A lot of people underestimate just sort of my abilities and my intelligence. And yet I don't even view myself as smart, and while these people exist, that gives me confidence. Because I'm at least not as dumb as them. That's all I can say on that. Not strictly talking about the people I know, but in various circumstances I've encountered this and came to the same realisation. It's important, for sure. So yeah, no, I'm not sure what else to add. No, really not sure. I think I've talked about everything for the most part. Just, you need to look at things that you just don't feel societally normal and just start rethinking it. Start researching it if it's a case of like something controversial. I've encouraged this for years now because I've been through this shit with people who I once knew. And it's so important to actually do this because you just literally do not know what's out there, who you could be affecting with this. It's so important. So I do stress that point a lot because it is actually important, unlike people who just try to make it mean nothing or make it just pointless to even think about. You know, the fact that people would happily cancel over just fucking showing support for people who have big struggles in their life. Like, that's just insane to me. Well, what are you doing? It just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, it's my biggest advice for people. It's like when you see someone disabled, when you see someone who's a bit like me, who's quiet, or someone who's just dodgy looking, like, don't fucking conform to a society standard point of view on that. Actually get in there, question things, do the research. Like, it's not hard. Stop running your assumption mouth off just in favour of what you want to fucking believe is convenient enough for you. Because that is what this is a lot of the time. People think it's really convenient to pick on someone weaker than them, someone who's had more hardships for some reason. This is a point that people have. They pick on, hence ICE, hence a lot of different things out there, even anti-trans and stuff. You know, there's so many better things to do in your time, rather than fucking pick on these people. You can actually educate yourself and have empathy and actually help people instead. And that's a far more rewarding experience. Literally. There's so much more in that than there is this bullshit alternative with just judging people for how useful they are to society. Guess what? A lot of people aren't even useful when they're in a fucking job, when they're in any sort of position of power. So, eat that cake. Because that's the fucking truth there. And you have to be incredibly stupid not to realise that, so, yeah. Let's move on from this topic and hopefully find something more cheerful. I don't know what it is, but there's something about when products actually work properly that it just makes it feel great. I can't even speak. Specifically talking about when you just get this random product that doesn't matter where it's from, and then usually it doesn't work. You know, it's like a big issue. And you get this product to solve a problem and it just doesn't fucking work. And it just gets really frustrating, and sometimes you end up returning it, depends on the price. Other times it's not even worth returning, or can't be returned. And I'm not sure if I talked about this before, but I got this plunger that essentially was supposed to unblock toilets, obviously. And it's like one of those modern plungers. It's a ribbed system. You push down on it, it creates suction. It's actually genius. You know, obviously reduces like the air capacity inside, and that's how it creates the suction. But you know, I've used it once before, and it was really good. It took me a while to figure out how to get it to work, for some reason. And I just have to use it again today after somehow blocking the toilet again, which I haven't done for a while. And it's worked, like, fine. It's so fucking weird though. And this one was even more anxiety inducing because I was like, I don't want to get anything on me. I was thinking of ways to cover the toilet so that I don't get anything on me. I even tried cling film before and it didn't really work. Well, that's in, can't put it on. Not the fact that it just didn't cover me. But yeah, this time, because the toilet was essentially flooded to the nearly, like the tip of the rim, I guess. I don't know what you call it, the part where the flush comes out. But it was nearly at the top and not going down. So at that point, I was like, you know what? Better fucking do all this because I need to use this again at some point. So I whip out this plunger again and nervously go inside, push it down, and it doesn't even take much to even create a suction. That's the crazy thing. And it just sucks it all fucking out. All the liquid from the top there just goes into it. And somehow it sucks out even the fucking pipe as well. Like, it's actually kind of crazy, or whatever's blocking it to begin with. And it just works. It only took one fucking suction and it just worked. What the hell is this product? I'm pretty sure I didn't spend a ton of money on it. I'm pretty sure that because of how cheap it is, it shouldn't have probably worked so well. It's just a bizarre situation. Almost like where I find my disappointment in other products is just usually outweighing the other stuff. Like, it's often bad, and yes, Luigi's world's best toilet plunger. Fucking hell. What is it called? That plunger toilet unblock heavy duty. Plungers for unblocking, unique, strongest unblocker toilet plungers from. Okay, it's just spammy title shit. But you know what? It worked. Yeah, I have to say, I didn't even need to put it in the way it said, and it worked. It sounds more effective than a regular rubber plunger, obviously. It's fucking ripped. And it can just go in there as well, that's the thing. If it's like really badly clogged, it can literally just go in there completely. And yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure about washing it, I'm not 100% sure how to deal with that. Yeah, all I've been doing is just using the flush and then sucking it up with a what is it? You know, the toilet water that comes out, like fresh toilet water to be clear. Yeah, it's not as hygienic, but sure. Oh my god, when it fucking works, it's like, it's beautiful. I just love when that happens. And it needs to happen more often. It makes products look like shit, to be honest. Like other products that try the same thing and just suck in the end. I genuinely don't know why that's so hard to even do. It just confuses me. Yeah, I just felt like talking about this as a bit of a pacebreaker from the previous topic. I think it's sort of important to discuss, but really I wish manufacturers would stop copying each other. Just start making a good product to begin with. I'm so fucking fed up with that shit. It's like when I looked for trays, for example, I wanted trays for when I warm my food up in my glass tubs, which can get very warm. In fact, I sometimes need something else to carry it, like a towel, so to get out of the microwave to begin with. There's something about fucking on there. What the hell's that? What was? Might be hallucinating, but I don't know. But yeah, uh, it's strange to me. It's like, you know, um, that I wish products just worked like that all the time. It just doesn't make sense that they don't. That's just the gist of it here. So yeah, I'm not sure what else to add here, but I guess I could end the topic. So let's move on. Quite an interesting but uncomfortable topic to talk about. Hopefully, I'll leave us in. So I've sort of deleted the past you talked about, and just not very good. Like, to be honest, it's too conspiracy theory-esque, but this really isn't. It's more of a social thing, which is different. And I was just thinking about how you would address a situation where you just end up being the bad person, and it's like a lot of the times you just see and hear these stories where people have done bad things, and it's terrible. Nobody should be doing bad things, and the biggest problem in all this yet seems to be that there just isn't really a clear motive or reason, which is why oftentimes we see now, and even I encourage myself, that people will just do journalism of their own sort of way. As in, the moment you see a fucking crime, get it on the internet, upload it to a cloud, distribute it. That's the point. As much as I hate this cell phone culture with recording crimes and even like suicides, unfortunately this happens a lot, it's worrying that sometimes this just gets covered up and there is no proper answer, but also with how corrupt the entire planet is, it does feel necessary. Like, even if it's just, for example, like someone completely vulnerable and innocent, like even just a kid that's just fucking killed themselves. Like, this needs to be documented, because at the end of the day, there's not going to be any fucking, is it solace, is that term? I can't remember. There's like no comfort in the idea that people don't report on these things properly. As a parent of that child, it's going to be fucking terrifying, and it's just going to be traumatic to be living with that, not knowing what exactly happened and how it happened, and may not want to watch the footage, but you might want someone to relay what they saw, on your behalf. And I think that's far better than trusting a fucking news source, a cops even. There's just so much more to that that's good. It's better than, it's not good, but that's better than the alternative, which is obviously the police telling you, which you don't really want. And you can't really trust the police, so you never know. It could be like some 12-year-old who just exposed Epstein's new island, for example, because let's be honest, he's probably still alive at this point. And suddenly he's just died. It's like, but you want to know what actually happened, and someone might say like, oh, just in a hypothetical here, just because it's not real. Could be though, never know. But say he's just been shot, or just shot himself rather. They grab someone's gun and put it to his head. It's been like planted on him, but there was luckily someone on the side who managed to capture someone speeding away, and it turns out it was assassination. Because this kid obviously had some info, and they've just exposed the fucking evil nature of Epstein, and now that's out in the open, and people can actually be comforted slightly by the fact that, you know, this is all to do with, well, him, Epstein, and it can be linked to him, and now we know that the proper cause. So the only sort of comfort from that, it's not a good situation, just to be clear. I'm saying it's good because the comfort that it provides, the answer rather, not the comfort of the closure, that's it. It's the wrong fucking word, closure. It literally provides that. That's why it's so important. And I think about the motive behind certain crimes and certain issues. And I think if people are actually genuine about changing and being better people, then they really need to fucking be honest, because that's the biggest problem I see. You know, I want to hear what serial killers and rapists and even just paedophiles in general even want from the shit. Like, why do they do it? The thing is, I want to know why, so that I can help stop this from happening and help prevent it from happening. And not a lot of people are asking these questions, which sucks, because there's not actually any true prevention or even helping the victims here. And that's the problem. There's no transparency, so there's no way for us to actually see through into their bias or their workings and whatever. I'd hate to be fucking born a paedophile. It's just a horrible thing. And all the research I've done on it, as well as my own situation with the paedophile I witnessed as a child, it just leads to me wanting to see change in the world. I'm just so fucking fed up that nobody is bothered to do the research and nobody is bothering to actually solve the problem, to actually address it properly. But this is if it can be solved, because again, the research literally indicates that there is no obvious solution. And even then, the solutions that people have can end up being detrimental and even like pushing people further. And then it's just like, what the fuck do you do? Just doesn't seem to be a rational way to actually address this, and that's why I think if there's ever a wrongdoing and you do actually want help with this, you actually give people the words of advice they need to hear, the honesty they need to hear. You know, both. It depends, really. And that's really important. And, you know, people need to analyse it, obviously, just to be safe, because you never know, like, someone, I don't know, like someone who's done what Epstein has done, for example, but not like Epstein, might want fucking to get out of that. You never know. And they might genuinely believe that. Of course, we already have trust issues with that, and I don't think there is really much room for redemption there, but then again, isn't that what's going to push them further into that rabbit hole? It just gets you wondering, gets you questioning. That's why I think just 100% honesty and transparency on these things is important. Even for a topic that's not even about sex or like even like drugs, it could be just about stealing, it could be about theft, it could be about even corruption. I think we should just be open to the fact that people do want to change. And when they do want to change, we should encourage it. We should ask for full transparency without the punishment of obviously being, well, whatever, lynched, arrested, whatever it is. I'll say it depends, but still it's better than nothing, and there should be less of a punishment if that's the case. You know, that's the point. And it needs to be demonstrated over time, so it shouldn't be like oh, you confessed to this in the courtroom. You immediately get half your sentence because you said you didn't want to rape those children. But it turns out that could be a lie. So you have to actually enforce a full-scale punishment for that. And then over time they have to prove themselves. And it has to be like up to the point where they would have had their punishment supposedly cut or halved or whatever. And not exactly outright removed, but obviously just done properly. It's about not letting guilty people run free, and that's the point. That's what justice is for. No guilty person should be running free. And that's why I stress that it's important to be honest if you actually want to see good change in the world. Just fucking be upfront about it. Don't care who you are. You just need to explain yourself. You need to get help from that by explaining yourself. And there are probably sure to be people that do know how to address it. This has happened for many fucking years. I'm sure people have found ways to address it. So that's why it's important. And yeah, it's not a comfortable topic for sure. It's actually probably one of the darkest topics I've ever talked about here. But that is the reality, I'm afraid. It's not comfortable, but that is unfortunately the solution. Anyway, I better move on for this topic. I'll again try to find something fun to talk about. Might be difficult to. So I don't really have anything in mind yet. I guess I could talk about. Yeah, I could talk about that actually. I've got some more on my. Oh, what is it? Course Routes, that's it. For some reason I forgot the name, but it's a new series I'm working on, so stay tuned for that. I have an update on that series, and I've actually found a way to translate it to Events of Turn, believe it or not. It's actually kind of fucking crazy. But I even have a crazier sort of fucking like ending to it as well. Because I always try to plan the ending for this. I think that's sort of important because I don't think you can have a story about the ending and also like you could just do solve or showing and shit. But yeah, I have some interesting updates on Course Routes, whatever I call it. Because I've been working on this, it's basically a new series. It's about animal characters who also have some very adult themes to them. It's very interesting ones. There's like interspecies shit, there's fantasy, and believe it or not, I found one of the coolest ways to integrate technology into it without making it feel sci-fi. Because I wanted to avoid sci-fi as much as possible, to be honest. And my problem with sci-fi is it's just so generic, and it's not that interesting as a result. So one of the ways I address that is by having it in a fantasy setting. You might think, how do you do that? And I've also allowed it to be in a way that you can enable the like the entire modern era, the modern societal era in it. And I've done this by having it basically like magic infused with hardware. So it's like, I think I've made it like a square of wood, not another block, not block really. But it's like infused with magic, and it's called a Magiphone. And obviously this is going to be a sort of smartphone of the time. And what I find interesting about this is you can actually make it about anything you want. You can make like let's say like a magic Android phone somehow. I'll say about the Android, but something like that. It just adds such an interesting twist, and it'll be powered by magic, and networks powered by magic. So many fucking things I'm writing into this. You know, this is only like the introduction to the world. What's crazy about it, and there is one thing I need to add, which is like explaining the app stuff, because I wasn't sure what to call it at first, because I didn't want it to be. I want it to be fantasy, but I don't want it to be like, you know, hyper sci-fi. Like currently, like technically there's already like AI in the magic world. It's like called abominations or creations or whatever. Yeah. So certainly some interesting things to iron out there. I think it's a very exciting aspect for a series because of this. Just the fact that magic is the technology of this world and it's so connected. And then I have to talk about the sci-fi thing, and this is admittedly is like a much later thing. But when it comes to like planetary travel, I do not want it to be sci-fi either. So I want to remove every possible avenue of like technology to sort of obviously disassociate with that and get away from it. And like the point I'm making here is that I don't want this to be, say, about sci-fi, like sci-fi tropes. You know, I don't want like a big space station, I don't want even like a big spaceship, so how do I do that in a fantasy setting? And keep every planet fantasy as well as like alien species being fantasy. Well, you look for like inspiration, you look for like mythology and even like H.P. Lovecraft and stuff, which I'm sort of thinking of. I need to read that, I think. I haven't actually read it yet, but I do know some bits and bobs about it, and there's like a lot of alien tech. I know it's quite horny as well, I think. It's not alien tech, but like, you know, squid monsters, tentacle monsters, whatever. It's like thinking along those lines. It makes things that seem sort of believable in a way. But they're like abominations, and that's sort of how you make an alien. But with travel, I think this is one of the more interesting points, but it's like converting magic, like I did with the phones, into a technology that allows massive pieces of land to appear, to fly. Not to appear, to fly, is what I meant. And that I think is one of the coolest aspects. And being able to make this massive patch of land just fly in space, and also just allow for agriculture as well, which is just a cool thing. Being able to get this thing to fly be just really interesting. And my idea with that is that it's just basically bringing a bunch of land rather than like a spaceship, where you'd have all the necessary components, the interior and stuff. You'd have like this magical sort of engine thing fueling the land itself, basically almost like telekinesis, but I guess there is something pushing it from the back to allow it to. So that just gets things moving along. I think it's cool that you can just live in a house whilst travelling through space. It'll make for some really interesting backgrounds too. Like, imagine a fantasy world with just a space backdrop. Fuck me, that'd be so cool. That's where the idea comes from. Also, you do like a oxygen bubble. That's like a permanent sort of temperance sort of thing going on with that, so that people can obviously very well say people, it's actually animals. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. It's about taking sci-fi aspects and converting it to fantasy. It's like almost the stuff that I sort of I dreamed of, I suppose, like years ago when I first got into fantasy. Yeah, there's some updates on it. I have some names already. The main character is Liat, the fox, obviously. I wonder who that's a reference to. The second character is Fluffil, who's not really a reference to anyone except for the colour and obviously the species. You can probably guess who. And they're together, so you could expect that. And then I've got like a really interesting other character. I've got a goat. He's actually like the twink equivalent. No surprise who that's inspired by. But like the twink equivalent of an animal, I guess. Like, I don't know. It's weird to say, but literally. And guess who the fucking boyfriend of this goat is? That's right, it's a fucking bear. So yeah, they're made for a child. It's so stupid, but it's good. But then this fourth character, which took me a while to figure out, but actually I think is really fucking interesting. Because at the moment we don't really have hybrid species figured out. I do have a plan to add them. So you get like, inspired by Final Fantasy XIV, like dragon horses, but you can also get like dragon dogs. You can get many different fish, or even dog dragons. Like, it comes with the primary species first, and then the secondary species last. So obviously dog dragon would be dog primarily, and then dragon secondary. And that's sort of how the hybrid works. And then you get weird situations where the hybrids notice create more hybrids. So I guess it's like dragon, dog, and horse for some reason, and that just creates like a weird sort of triple hybrid sort of thing. And it's like it goes on and on. I've also got some lore planned for how that came to be and how they evolved. It's like really early on in the planet's lifetime. But anyway, this character, I've called him Delik, and it's a really interesting character because he has a gimmick that I won't go into yet, but I will explain. And he has an interesting sort of lore tidbit about that as well. I think people will be quite happy with him because it's just all things put into one. It's actually kind of fucking crazy. Well, almost all things anyway. I think that's fascinating. So yeah, but then I have plans for like territories and see other characters that tie into stories here and there. Got entire arcs planned. It's more organisation than offensive to hand, to be honest. And I even go to like topics, and I even have like music planned as well, not like my own music, but for like this setting as well. Like it's mainly for that. I have some music planned for those sort of situations, and it's going to be really interesting for a fantasy setting that's sort of mimicking sci-fi. It's just going to be really cool. Like the weird thing is, this sort of fucks with the genre. Like, do you call it fantasy? Do you call it sci-fi because of how far it goes into that? Because like, I guess it is like technically sci-fi, based on obviously the aspect that it's science and it's fictional, but it is like hyper fantasy. So yeah, there's a lot of things to figure out with this, but I think there is a lot of potential. As for making it like a comic series, I think there might be a struggle for me. I have to find ways to like speed draw backgrounds and stuff. Not gonna animate it, but also I'm gonna do that thing with like the templates and the characters sort of doing things. There's gonna be like defaults and stuff to obviously speed it up. And I'm gonna have to find ways to identify characters. That's one thing I haven't figured out yet quite right. Because I'm saving collars for something else, and you'll see that eventually in the series. Those collars will have a role, but I don't know what you think. But as for like identifying someone, I'm not exactly sure how to go about that. I guess I have some idea, because there are like ways to dress animals, but I don't want them fully dressed. That's the thing. Just want them to be identifiable. So yeah, supposing that's a quick update on the cause roots thing. I think the name is probably temporary at this point because I don't really know what to call it. But it's interesting. I also have sort of figured out what to call the English language here, which is British, because every fucking thing in this planet, or at least the setting, is based on like woodland areas and woodland animals. So obviously speaking British just by default, and that's a thing. So yeah, that's the update. So let's move on. Actually, no, I've got to do an outro. Let's not move on. Gone on for quite a while now. Fucking hell. Yeah, thanks for listening to the podcast or something. And see everyone another time, somehow, somewhere.